Hello, everybody, and welcome to another week of the Illegal Contact Podcast Monopoly Locks edition. This is week one for college football. Thomas, it's football season. How are you?
I'm doing good. We got real games to talk about. No more future bets for college. We got actual games to talk about. We got to watch a few games last night. This is good. I
Yes.
can't doesn't get much better than this.
I was really hoping last night that, well, I don't like PJ Fleck, so I wanted Minnesota to lose anyway, but I was really hoping that Nebraska would win just so I could come on here and say, see, Thomas, see,
No, you really
and
needed
then also
Christian to be on
I did
because
Christian.
he's the
Yes.
one who threw a boatload on the Nebraska under. I may
I
be a Nebraska hater, but I didn't bet on that this year. So
No, and I think he should have reason to be worried because
yeah, I mean they kept it
they
a lot closer
looked
than they may have a tough time finishing though because I don't know what Matt Rule was doing, but they were up in that fourth quarter and then they forgot how to run the ball and eat clock. I
if
mean, what they were up
fum,
7-3
fum,
most of that
fumbled the
fourth
ball
quarter. Well, the fumble,
10-3.
but even 10-3, but even leading up to that, they barely ran the ball late, mid fourth quarter, and I was like, they don't know how to act with a lead. I mean, maybe that time in Carolina really screwed with Matt Rule and his closing ability. I don't know, but they
I
did look better. Yeah, that was a
New team
surprise.
as well too. Figuring out your team. I think some of that's come into play. So I'm curious to see how the rest of the season goes for Nebraska and Matt Rule. But yeah, I got to watch college football last night, and that was fun. I had a good day yesterday
You
as well too.
did.
I got to go to a Tigers Yankees game and avoided the sweep barely.
Hey,
That
we both are happy because the Yankees won a series for the first time in 15 series, basically. And I got my Anthony Volpe home run, so the kids are playing well, and you get your win. So I don't I
yeah.
don't this at this point in the season I don't need a Yankees win because we stink. I just need to see the kids play. So we're both
I
happy with
would
that result.
venture to say there was almost more Yankees fans in Comerica Park yesterday than there were Tigers fans. There was a lot of
I'm
Yankee
not
fans there,
surprised.
which not
Yeah.
surprised either. Like, and uh, the person I blame for the Yankees tying it up was there was a Yankees fan that was there who left at the bottom of the eighth inning, who said,
Rookie
"quote I'm
mistake.
over this shit." And then my dad said to him, "You don't have any faith?" He goes, "Nope." And so he walked out and left. And I was like, it's because it's sports karma coming
Yep.
back on him for leaving his team, so he misses them tie it up. And so I was blaming him, and I was 2 outs, top of the ninth. All you need is one more out, and just barely gets over that right field
Hey,
wall.
that's all you can ask for though in a day game, right?
Yeah,
You have the win, then it gets interesting, but then you pull it out at the end. You get the
yeah.
emotions,
On
you
a
still get the
walk off
win.
air.
Right. Of course, Glaber Torres, of course. I mean, who else but Glaber Torres is gonna have that error? So
Yeah,
fun
they
season.
tried to call it
Baseball's over.
interference there for a second, and saying I was like, no, no, no. I said he was completely safe in his slide was straight at the bag. Yeah, he popped up a little bit early, but it was after the throw anyway, and he's because he was the the defender was in his way. I was like, Torres needed to sidestep and throw that ball. He didn't need to try going straight at it. Like
Yeah.
that's on him. So
This is why this is not a baseball betting podcast because
right.
betting baseball day to day is nearly impossible, right? I
Yep.
mean, the
Yep.
emotions that would have been the Tigers were probably minus 1,000 favorites heading into that ninth inning. Then it gets tied up. I mean, yeah, you can't bet baseball day to day. That's a whole nother breed. So this is why we, as of now, are sticking fully to football.
Sticking to football. So
Sticking to football.
yes. But anyway, I had a good time. It was good to be a Yankees game. Uh, I wish it didn't go to extra innings because traffic got crazy coming home with construction and uh, rush hour traffic in Metro Detroit. And I'll say this, Thomas, on football podcast, but talk baseball for a second. I have not been a fan of the pitch clock. You know that I was very anti the concept of the pitch clock, and I was very anti the notion of starting with a man on second in extra innings. Being at the game, I actually appreciated
Yeah.
both of those things.
Yeah. No, I noticed a big difference. I went to one game this year a few weeks ago, and the pitch clock makes a big difference. I enjoyed it too, especially live, right? You
Yeah.
don't and now at this point when I'm watching, I don't notice. I don't notice it at all, to be honest. And but it just
Yep.
makes a huge difference when you're there. So props to
Yeah.
MLB. And the ratings are up. I mean,
Yeah.
it's doing something for ratings.
Yep. It's working. So we'll wait for postseason. Things change a little bit in there, and get to watch and see how it all pans out. So, all right, let's get back to football. What this show is all about on college football for our odds. Thomas, I will go ahead and kick us off for the first game that we have going. So the way this is going to work this week for our Monopoly bets is we are betting the same 3 games. These are our fan bets. And then we have 4 games that we're able to place other bets on, either over under or a parlay or uh, a spread to go against those, and then just we can decide what we want to wager across the board. So for the first 3, we're going to do the Liberty versus Bowling Green, South Carolina versus UNC, and Michigan State versus Central Michigan. So Thomas, I'll start us with Liberty versus Bowling Green. Liberty is a 9.5-point favorite at home against Bowling Green. I was tempted to throw more money at this because I do feel pretty confident in Liberty this year, but being at Chadwell's first game of the season, a lot of changes. That defense is still great. It's just enough of me that's like, no, I'm not going to go anything crazy on it. So I kept it at $50 for Liberty covering that 9.5, which would pay out 45.45. And that was actually, I believe, the same wager that Christian had. Christian also took Liberty at 9.5 for $50.
So you had a key point there where it being Chadwell's first game at home. That is why I mean this segment's going to be pretty interesting throughout the year because we're trying to take emotion out of it. I did go Bowling Green plus 9.5. I still
Okay.
very confident LU is going to win this game, but 9.5 seems like a lot. I think I flirted with maybe that halftime bet. I think they're going to come out a cold, a little slow, and Bowling Green may even have the lead or tie it up at half. But I think 9.5 is a pretty good number. You look at the recent games; they played New Mexico State better than we did. Last year, I know this is all last year, but they had a couple of close games um, compared to the result that Liberty had. So I think this game can be pretty close, especially with Chadwell's first game. And we don't have a named quarterback starter yet, correct?
Not that I've seen.
Right.
So,
So I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing, keeping it under wraps, but um, no clear quarterback starter at this point could mean anything. And I know that that was the pain, the thorn in our sides last year with the quarterback carousel. So hopefully that becomes more stable this year. But I think Bowling Green can cover this. I had $50 at Bowling Green plus 9.5 at minus 110 odds.
okay. All right. Next one for me is going to be pretty straightforward. South Carolina versus UNC. South Carolina plus 2.5. I'm taking South Carolina to cover the 2.5. I'd actually would feel confident taking the outright on this as well too, if I
Interesting.
was to. Um, I, I don't have a ton that I'm going on based on that, other than South Carolina finished last year really strong. It's a lot of the same team, and I'm gonna trust SEC against ACC every time, Jared. So there's that for me. So yeah, I put 50 on that, which would also pay out 45.45. And then Christian also took South Carolina to cover that 2.5 for $50.
That's fair. No, I like a general rule, right? Trusting the SEC over the ACC. I think I saw this morning the ACC is bringing in SMU, one other team. Like they're bringing in some weird teams for next year. It was a couple of teams. It was like, oh, Cal. I think they're bringing in Cal. Uh, interesting, interesting strategy by the ACC. Definitely doesn't make them stronger. However, I'm interested to see Drake May again. I wanna see if he can take that leap. I wanna see if he can solidify himself as a first round pick. The offense we know is going to be electric. This is probably gonna be another high scoring game. I just think that UNC's offense is better. I don't trust Spencer Rattler to be consistent enough in a long-term season here. So I did take UNC minus 2.5, and I ended up feeling pretty confident on this, and I put no, actually, I only put 50. I didn't feel too confident. I only put $50 in this one as well at -110 odds. So UNC -2.5. Give him a field goal win.
All right. The next one then is going to be the game I will be at tonight. My Michigan State Spartans hosting Central Michigan University. It's going to be a packed out game. It was hard for me to find tickets. These tickets were they cost me quite a bit for Central Michigan. It's the 100th season of Spartan Stadium, so it's the kickoff or the 100th season at Spartan Stadium. Central Michigan only an hour up the road, so kind of a rivalry for in-state. Labor Day weekend, lots of people will be in there. If I had gone to next week's game against Richmond, I could have got tickets for like $16. Cheapest ones I was able to find for this were going to be like close to 80. So that's I didn't end up I didn't have to spend that much for mine, but that's what most of them were. So anyway, I'm looking forward. It's going to be a great time tonight. MSU is a 14.5-point favorite against Central Michigan. Now, I'm taking MSU to cover that. That's I'm pretty confident that I'm putting 150 for MSU to cover tonight, that 14.5. The reason why is I think a lot of that bet is just because of how underwhelming Michigan State was last year. And I can understand based on that. But Central Michigan was also very underwhelming last year. And they're predicted to finish like 7th or 8th in the MAC this year. Like Central Michigan's also not a good team. So the line does kind of baffle me that we're only a 14.5-point favorite versus CMU. So yes, it is a fan pick, but I'm being non-biased. I'm fairly confident that this MSU team will be able to cover that. Looking forward to seeing who the quarterback is tonight, either Caden Hauser or Noah Kim. I'm hoping that if it has been in camp, if it has been a push where it's been pretty equal across the board, I'm more of the mindset, go with your youth, the extra year, go with your sophomore rather than your junior, and play for the future with your youth starting out the season. But be interesting to see how things go. So that's what I got. I got Michigan State covering that 14.5. Christian also has Michigan State covering the 14.5. He only has $50 on it, however. So
Yeah, no, I think we're all lined here. I think this is hopefully a full sweep across the board for us. I had Michigan State covering the 14.5 as well. I felt more confident than Christian. I split the difference between the two of you. I put $100 at I found it at -102 odds, so almost even odds, which I like even better. $100. I just think that defense is really gonna. This probably gonna be a good under bet. I didn't see what the total is here, but I doubt there will be too many points on the board here. And Central Michigan's coming in with a new quarterback. Their quarterback ends up going to Florida Atlantic, I believe.
yep,
Not that
FAU
he was
transfer.
that impressive last year either. They struggled, but yeah. So I don't see Central Michigan being able to put up more than 17 points in this game, and even that's probably going to be a stretch. So I feel pretty confident Michigan State covers that 14.5.
All right. Well, that's what we got for our fan bets. Now let's go ahead and start going down the line for our individual. So, Thomas, the first one that I'm taking here for this week is I'm going to take Tennessee versus UVA. Now, unfortunately, I do not have everything that I wrote out on this pick earlier in the week. I did a bunch of research into this game. And so I don't have a ton of data that I wanted to be able to bring into this to go over with you today. But I can say I'm pretty confident in Tennessee's ability to cover that large spread against UVA. And
Oh,
a big reason why last year Virginia was like, I think it was 2-10 against covering the spread. 2-10.
it's bad.
And they also
It's
have a new
bad.
quarterback this year. Yes, Tennessee has a new quarterback, but Virginia, I against Virginia, UVA, give me Tennessee covering all day long. This is for you, Peyton. So, all right, what's your first one,
All
Thomas?
right. Well, this game will come back. This game, how much did you put on that one?
So on that one, I put 50 as well for them to cover the
Okay.
27.5. That would pay 43.
That game will come up a little. Yeah, that game will come up a little bit later in my parlay. I did add that game. My first game, I'll
Okay.
start with a strong one, right? Okay, so I felt pretty confident in this one, and it has now. I checked again this morning, and the number is Drastically different than when I got it 2 days ago. The Hawaii Stanford over under, when I saw it, was at 59 and a half. I took the under 59 and a half. I put $100, minus 110 odds. Now I believe this morning I saw it at like 55 and a half. So it got bet down significantly in the last 48 hours. So I feel really good with a little bit of wiggle room there on the closing number. I just don't see both teams putting up 30 points, specifically Stanford. Hawaii's offense looked okay. They already played one game. They looked okay, but we know that that team has been on the down the last few years. They're really struggling. So and obviously Stanford has gone through their pains on offense. They haven't been able to right the ship after Davis Mills and get a solid quarterback play. So I don't see both teams putting up 30 points here. I took the under 59 and a half.
All right. For Christian's first one, he took the South Alabama versus Tulane game. South Alabama getting a 6.5. So he took South Alabama at plus 6.5 for $100. I'm going to assume a lot of that is based on he does not feel that Tulane is going to repeat this year, and they're with them losing as much as they have, and that they're going to be in a little bit of a fight. So that's my assumption for why Christian took that wager. For my next one here, Thomas, I'm actually taking another one that is a 14.5 point favorite that it really surprises me. So Washington is a 14.5 point favorite versus Boise State. Now, Boise State, more of a team than Central Michigan, but I think Washington, number 8 team in the country preseason. Washington, very good team, a lot of depth, Heisman caliber quarterback against, I get Boise State has a history of upset stuff like that, but no, give me Washington to cover that 14.5 all day long. So I
I,
took Washington for under 14 to cover the 14.5, $100, pay out 96.15.
I am glad you brought this up because this goes right into my next bet as well. I didn't take the spread, but I found another interesting number that I liked. I took Washington team total over 36 and a half. I think they're going to put up a
Okay.
huge amount of points here. Um, and I like the 14 and a half as well because I don't think, like you said, Boise State's going to be able to match them, put up enough numbers. At that point, they'd need at least 21, 24 points to be able to keep within that range. But I think Washington's going to be able to score at will here. I took over 36 and a half team total points. I put $50. The odds were a little bit more juiced at minus 122, but I feel pretty good about that one as well. So I'm glad you brought up that game because I liked it as well.
All right. Yeah, I'm glad that we're on the same page there. So the next one for Christian is he took Iowa at 25.5 favorites over Utah State for $100. I think that's a fair wager. Um, the next one for me, then, I took an over under here for USC and Nevada. So USC Nevada over under is 66.5. I'm taking the under for this game, under 66.5, because USC struggled in the first half a lot last week against San Jose State. Nevada, I think, is a little bit better than San Jose State, and I don't know that I can trust them to be able to make that rebound like they did in the second half against San Jose State again. I also don't know that Nevada is going to be able to score as many points either. I just that looked like a really high number for a team that struggled early on last week, and there's just still some unknowns that I have about USC potentially how things roll out here. So I took that for the under of 66.5 for $100. What do you got?
Yeah, I mean it's probably a good bet to fade the public because USC, I think those numbers are going to be pretty high early on because they just feel like that offense is electric. Everybody feels like that defense is extremely bad. Now maybe it looked pretty bad in week 0, but yeah, I think that's a good fade the public kind of bet where the number is probably a lot higher than it should be. I didn't go with that game, but my next bet I ended up going with, this is another high spread. I know you took Tennessee at this number at 27 and a half, but I'm going to take Baylor. Baylor minus 27 and a half. They're playing at home against Texas State. We
Yeah.
know that Baylor offense can rumble. I think they started out really hot last year as well, and then kind of fizzled. I'm looking for the same thing this year. I think they're going to be able to start really hot. They're going to come out the gates at home really, really strong. This is probably going to be a 35 plus point win here. And I think 27.5 is a little bit low. I put $100 on Baylor to cover that at minus 112 odds.
All right. Next one for Christian is Christian took a team total here for Ohio State versus Indiana. He took the team total for for Ohio State to be over 44.5 for $100 against IU. That's a big one. And you know what? Looking at the actual total over under for that game, the total under for that game is 59.5.
Wow.
I think that's a good team over to say cover on Christian's behalf there. I don't think Indiana's. I think Indiana's going to be bottom dweller again in the Big Ten this year. Ohio State probably top 3 in the Big Ten. Yeah, new quarterback for Ohio State, but against the Indiana defense, I have no concerns whatsoever about them being able to run up a score here. So I'm with you on that one, Christian. I think that's a good team total to take. All right, my final one here is I'm going with a parlay. So I went with Rutgers 6.5 for their game
They play
starting against
Northwestern, right?
Northwestern.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's a good bet. I
So
like it.
Northwestern in shambles with the Pat Fitzgerald and other players. I've heard rumors of like quitting, sitting out, wanting out. Not a great culture right now, so feel pretty confident. Rutgers also is a team that can upset and be in any game. So I feel pretty confident about Rutgers being able to cover that. So then that's my first one of the parlay. My next one is West Virginia versus Penn State for over under. I'm taking the over for the game at 48.5. I think this is going to be one of the best Penn State offenses that you have seen in a few years, and I think they definitely are going to be able to score them on their own. I think they're going to be able to score 35 plus, and I'd expect West Virginia to at least have 2 or 3 scores. So give me that as my second part of the parlay, 48.5 over. And then the last one, Jared, you know what? You're going to like me here. I took Clemson 12.5 point favorites against Duke. I took them to cover. So that is my 3-way parlay. $50 would pay me $295 out for that parlay.
Nice. Nice. I like it. I like it. That's strong. I have one bet before my parlay, so I have 2 remaining. So I'll go with do you want me to go with both or just my last straight up bet? And then
Throw them both out there.
Let's do both. All right. So my last bet, this is one that you kind of close your eyes, throw it up to God, and hope this one it doesn't look so ugly as it may. Miami looked so bad last year, right? Although it may help here because they are only 16.5 point favorites against Miami University of Ohio.
Ohio,
Yes.
yes.
They have so Miami has Texas A&M coming into the Hard Rock Stadium next week. So they really need to get their offense going. This is kind of a tune-up game. They really need to set the tone here and hopefully be players in the ACC, bringing back a lot of the same starters on offense. Another year under Cristobal. 16.5 shouldn't be an issue. Shouldn't be an issue. So hopefully they get going here. $50 for them to cover at minus 110. All right, and the parlay threw a stab at this is a pretty wild parlay. It's again probably not likely, but this is probably gonna be my theme for the season. Throw a couple stabs in the dark and hope to win one of those large parlays just to supplement a few of these bets that I know may not work. So this is a 4-team parlay. I'm taking, I alluded to it earlier. You took the Tennessee side. I'm going to take that UVA side, 27.5. Big surprise. I think, again, you can have a blowout and it still be covered by 20. 27.5 points is a lot. And I know UVA is not good. And I had to witness that last night when I saw Armstrong, who's now the quarterback of NC State, barely put up points against UConn. So maybe the quarterback situation can be better because he did not impress me last night. But UVA, I think, can cover that 27.5. It'll probably be in the low 20 range, in my opinion. The next bet I had is the Oklahoma over 58.5. We knew their defense had a lot of struggles last year. And the offense was actually a little bit better, right? Dylan Gabriel looked pretty good last year, but they struggled overall, bringing in that defensive side on the coaching. I think the over probably flies through again here. So 58.5. Next, Kyle, you may not like Colorado, 20.5.
No.
Let's go. Colorado.
Listen, again, I want to clear up. I believe in Coach Prime to be able to turn Colorado into something. This year, no. 3-4 wins, maybe. No.
I mean, it's fair. I don't think they're winning, but 20.5 at TCU. Are we sure TCU can recreate some magic? That whole offense is new. The whole offense. I mean, I believe in the coaching staff. I believe in the infrastructure that they put there, but it's a fully new offense. They lost a lot. So can they blow out Colorado? Maybe. I don't know, but 20.5 seems a bit high to me. So I threw them in the parlay here. Lastly, Kentucky.
I can understand
Kentucky
that
minus 26.5. Right. So 20.5 is high. Kentucky's my last bet here. They're at home against Ball State. Only 26.5 point favorites here, but they bring in a lot of good transfers. The offense was abysmal last year with Levis. I think it's going to be better this year. I think they rout Ball State, who has traditionally been pretty bad over the last few years. So that I'm only putting $10 down on that 14 parlay, but it pays at 13.21. So some high odds, which I like. So let's hope for a prayer there.
Yeah. So the last one for Christian then is he has Fresno State versus Purdue for the under-over at 47.5. He is taking the under for that game, 47.5 for $100. And I actually like that one as well too. Purdue, good team,
Yeah, I don't
not
mind
a
Purdue
great
unders.
team. No, not Purdue under. They're scrappy and they are able to make things happen. Usually they're a team winning that's about in the high 20s. So I think that's a good bet to be taken there. So all right, that's what we have for this week, everybody. Thanks again for listening, and we will see you again next week.